Okay, topic I wanted to discuss tonight, which is a very interesting topic, although it's not really negei al halachas, we'll soon see why, is the concept of being doichik as haketz. What does it mean, being doichik as haketz? Literally to push for Moshiach to come before its time.
Menschen, Rebbe Sichos of Rebbe Lozer ben Dodaya, who...
Lozer ben Dodaya, what's Lozer ben Dodaya?
No, when the Rebbe speaks about it in the Sichos, that he was doichik as haketz, I think. What's the name? I think that was the name.
Lozer ben Dodaya was he passed away the tshuva.
He did tshuva. Put his head between the selayers and
it's mentioned by the Rebbe Sichos about a certain Tanya that was trying to doichik as haketz. No, whatever.
Weiß nicht, Brauch na Bruder Anassi, kiven dit geitge. Anyway, begreifen there's a Gemara in Masech Ksubos of Kufidalef Hamad Aleph. It says as a pasuk, they've been shir Hashirim that Tishpaiti Eschem Menois Yerushalayim, and made you take an oath the daughters of Yerushalayim. And he says that there's three Shavuos. There's three oaths that Abishur made didn't take. One is that the
Rabbi Oldtime, one table, please.
One is that the Yidden should not shelo yalu Yisrael kechoyma. They shouldn't go up to Yisrael. Ha? Bechoyma, kechoyma. Different girsayis here. They shouldn't go up all together.
There's so many sweaters.
I know, but I don't want to focus about this. One is that there's one particular point I'm focusing on. One is the Eibishter made Yidden swear that they won't rebel against nations of the world, and different things. One of them is that the nations of the world shouldn't subdue the Yidden too much. Then he brings that there's another three, that Yidden shouldn't reveal the end of days. The Nevi'im shouldn't reveal the end of days. They should. Then it says v'shelo yirchaku as haketz. They should not push off the end of days. Yeah. So Rashi says what means yirchaku as haketz? They shouldn't push off the end of days. Ba'avoinam, with their sins, they shouldn't cause Moshiach to delay. Lishna achrina shelo yitchaku garsim. Rashi brings another version that they should not yitchaku. They shouldn't push. They should not plead Hashem too much for Moshiach, which I'll soon speak about. That's what I want to speak about. And then he says, they should not reveal the secrets, certain things, what it means, whether the secrets of the Torah, the secret of the Ibor, the secret that the Sanhedrin used, the knowledge that they had about astronomy, about Kiddush HaChay, the Shantam, whatever it is. Now,
one question, what's the difference between revealing the case and this document is different thing?
What?
Like Yaakov wants you to reveal the case, or people in the new generation want you to reveal the case. So this different topic, this is not this topic.
The same thing. I guess it's all connected.
But it reveal the gates and dech the gates.
Shelo yigalu was haketz, shelo yirchaku was haketz. One of the shvuos mentioned here is they shouldn't be megala the case.
Yeah, but it doesn't do it. But that's
so
not
it says Yaakov. It's not the same thing. It's discussing. It's connected to the fact that Yaakov wanted to be megala the case. There also Yaakov wanted to reveal. Eibishter didn't let him.
Is it the same thing?
Pushing, that's revealing.
Nothing. The two separate things. One is not to reveal. The one is not to push it. Now, the idea of being doichik as haketz, even though in our Gemara it says yirchaku, the Gersa in our Gemara, you open up, it says, Rashi brings there's another version here. It says you shouldn't distance it, prolong the end of days. Rashi brings also the other girsa, the other version. They shouldn't push too hard for Mashiach to come. There's medrashim which clearly bring down that you're not allowed to push the end of days. But there the intention is a little different. There the medrash discusses different people that try to push the end of days. For example, you had the Bnei Ephraim. I think there was how many people from Ephraim went out? A few hundred thousand. Few tens of thousands. Before its time, it was a number of years before the redemption from Mitzrayim, had a whole group that charged their way out, and they were killed by the Plishtim. Rashi brings it down, I believe, on the Pasuk in Oz Yosher. It says, what's the Lashon about Plishtim?
Yeah, but they were afraid. Oz niver lo aluf ha'elem elei me'ov.
It says that the Plishtim got trembled. Why did they tremble? So Rashi says because they killed. Different Midrashim speak about. There's a whole group, you know. They got hold of some weapons or whatever, and they charged their way out. They fought their way out, but they didn't make it. So this is a classic example of being doich against the case. The time didn't come yet, but they decided to take the action to their own hands, and they weren't successful. If I'm not mistaken, the Medrash also brings an example of Bar Kochva. Also tried to push it before its time, but there was pushed with real wars and thus. Now, you could call that the same thing, although Shabbat Tzvi wasn't together being doich against the case. It was a Moshiach Sheker.
Yeah.
But it's a similar concept. You are right, because the Rambam, you get a statement, I believe, and others, they say that there might be certain Jews that will try to push this. In other words, somebody just proclaimed himself Moshiach and doesn't do it. If somebody proclaims himself Moshiach and tries to do physical pulas, physical activities to try to establish a Jewish kingdom, then, you know, that would be a problem. What I want to focus on, this whole discussion of whatever, there's various discussions we could speak about here. One thing I wanted to speak about is this Rashi over here. It says that you should not press too hard, should not increase too much and pleading too much. The question obviously is, for us Lubavitchers, I don't know if it's even a question, but it's nothing really to do with Lubavitch. The question is, what does that mean? You have the whole tefillos. Munkasher speaks about this about a number of times. A lot of the tefillos in the majority of prayers of Jewish people is for Mashiach. Take Shemona Esrei, 6 or 5 out of the prayers are for Mashiach. You take all the piyutim, you go through the machzor of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and all the other slichas and everything. It's all about Mashiach. That's the bottom line. Tikkun Chatzos, the first simon in Shulchan Aruch. What are you doubting for Tikkun Chatzos? The Mashiach should come. You can't say, the Munkar just could say that Tikkun Chatzos is what? He's mourning the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. What, we're just sitting there and mourning the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash? What's the point of doing that? You start to complain to the Eibusher. Obviously you're doubting the Mashiach should come. People used to spend hours at Tikkun Chatzos each night. Some people do it with a minyan even. So what does it mean you shouldn't plead too much? I mean, on the contrary, there's many Midrashim that are very strong that not praying for Mashiach holds back Mashiach. It says that Mashiach will only come until the Jewish people will demand him, and the Eibusher is going to judge the Yidden, those that didn't pray for Mashiach. Why didn't you want and pray for Mashiach? Very strong things. So what does it mean that you shouldn't increase in Tachanun in requests too much? There's a number of approaches over here. One approach is that what it doesn't mean just praying too much. What it means to say is praying in a way that it's more than just prayer. It's what's using the term that's used, using Kabbalah Mises, practical Kabbalah, as you might call it, or Ashbos Malachim, or trying to use Kabbalistic methods to try to force Mashiach to come through spiritual things. Of this, there's a number of fascinating stories. It's a discussion in its own right. But you have the most famous out of them is the Ma'aser of Yosef Dila Reina.
No, Rabbi Yosef Dila Reina, that's what the Rebbe mentions.
Yeah, nicht gonna Tanam later. It's going später, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. The Rebbe mentions it.
Rabbi Yosef Dila Reina is mentioned by the Kisvei Harizal. It's discussed, I believe. I forget, didn't have a chance to look up because I think the story is printed in Sefer Ekel Williamson. I don't remember exactly the details of the story. It was a very famous story. Basically, him and a group of people that were tzaddikim and k'toshim and pure people, they purified themselves and fasted and prayed, and they used different Kabbalistic formulas to try to force, they use the names of the Eibusher to be mashpia the malachim, force the malachim under oath to reveal to them the different secrets of different Kabbalistic meditations and things in order to force Moshiach to come. And the way the whole story goes is that they got whatever it is, a very fascinating story. You heard it as a kid in school. Whatever, how much of it was embellished. But the story is printed, barichas, and the bottom line is the way the story goes that they got the Samach Mem, they so to say took the Satan and they had him bound up in chains, and then like they overpowered him and they were ready to bring Mashiach, and then he asked, says if I could smell a little bit shmek tabak. So they thought, he's anyway in chains, they already have him, so who cares if he smells a little snuff? When he took that little snuff, he got all his power, and they had a very terrible end. I think that Izal later said that showed Chaim Vital saw he was megulgul in a black dog, Rabbi Yosef Dilarayna. They died. They had a terrible ending. So this is a classic example of people that try to force Mashiach to come through prayers, not through davening, saying Tillim and crying to the Eibusher, but it was rather through being mashpia the malachim. The Chassam Sofer clearly writes that he discusses this, how the Shalos Tshuvos, he brings down this Rashi over here, and he clearly explains that it's talking about Summit Rabbi Yosef Dilarayna and so on. The truth is, there's other fascinating stories. The Munkacher he's marker for this really is in the Munkacher's in Darchei Chaim V'Shalom, I believe, in the Munkacher. He has a whole arichas of the number of tzaddikim wanted to make Napoleon's war with Russia, Gog and Magog. You know that Rebbe wanted the Tsar should win. All the tzaddikim wanted Napoleon should win. And so they wanted to turn this war into Gog and Magog and bring Moshiach. So the war of Napoleon lasted a number of years. Al Rebbe passed away in Tov Kofayin Gimel. But already Tov Kofayin Hey, I think it was, the Chayz of Lublin, there were 3 tzaddikim that decided that this Simchas Torah they're going to push it until the end. You had the Chayz of Lublin, and the question is, I forget who it was a few tzaddikim, I forget exactly. And the bottom line is that that by Yaakov is the bottom line is they all were in his Bible. The Chayzer from Lublin, he said they shouldn't allow anyone in. The Rebbe Sake allowed someone in. They found him laying in the street. He was thrown out of a window. It wasn't understood by Gashmis. He was able to be thrown out of that window. And you had the other one up. He passed away right before Sukkot, and another one up. So fire broke out and whatever. Was the bottom line is very fascinating stories how Rab Naftali of Ropshitz was going around. He was trying to convince. The bottom line is certain tzaddikim wanted to force this worship of Gog and Magog. Other tzaddikim saw if this is going to happen, Jewish blood is going to flow like water. So they tried to prevent it. Very interesting story. It's Nishnegei, the whole whatever. I mean, I don't know all the yukim in the stories, but it's very interesting. There's a lot of mises, a lot of details over here, which obviously most of it is probably not passed down. But that the Rebbe mentions is about people tzaddikim that wanted to push the gates of Yeshem, Ramafa Chayzim and Lublin. Also, Chayzim from Lublin tried to do it. So they tried to push the time, and they didn't succeed. And there's other stories actually. I looked up today. There's other stories that there's not a very clear source of the story, but also the Rab Shash, Rab Shalom Sharabi, the Ben Ish Chai writes. We heard a story of how he tried to force, also tried to by eating matzah the night of Pesach to bring Mashiach, and it doesn't say too many details. I saw somewhere else a Maisa that was the Rashash and the Chidah and Teiras Chacham, another big Mekubal, that decided to get together, and they made Yichudim, and a black dog came into the room, and basically they understood that they were told from heaven not to continue with this business. A black dog.
Yeah.
A black dog represented it wasn't just a black dog, from next door. It was obviously a messenger from heaven. So
the Rebbe writes that the Chidah, whatever wants it in the first years, that we find the greatness of the Chidah is that he was a Talmud of Rav Shalom Sharabi. Shalom Sharabi was on. You often say that you can't. It's not B'daradun. It's not.
The Mekubalim, in other words, a lot of people tell that he was a Gilgal, whatever of that Izal, but he was Palefim. Yeah, but there's so there's a number of other tzaddikim. It's a certain things that it's not really discussed too many places. Other instances where certain tzaddikim try to push that this should be the time of Moshiach. So such a thing, you're not just davening, you're using, obviously, I don't know how it works, but these tzaddikim are using certain koiches to force Moshiach to come. That's one explanation what it means you shouldn't daven. That's one explanation. That's a standard explanation. That another explanation is that we're talking here about certain tzaddikim that they have the power through their tefillos. The Gemara says in Bava Metzia Gansa Maisa that Psal Yohanovi told Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi that he used to come to him every day or something. And one day he couldn't. He explains to him that every day he goes and he wakes up Avram to daven, and he puts him to sleep, and Yitzchak and Yaakov. Each one, he so to say, wakes him up to daven separately. He doesn't want them to daven together. Why shouldn't they daven together? Because if they'll daven together, that will bring Moshiach. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi asked him, is anyone in this generation that is at the same level? So he said, yeah, Reb Chia and his sons. So Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi decided to have Reb Chia and his sons daven for the Amud. So when they started Tet Mashiv Ruach, wind blew, made it Dagesh, anyway.
It's a tiny source, so that tastes brings it over this whole story. Right?
So the bottom line is that they were about to, their prayers were so great they could have brought Mashiach, and then they sent a Leonov, I forget exactly what happened, also to the beer came in to mess up the whole arrangement. So Sat Mirov, he speaks about the Srash, I'll soon see something very interesting about his shit on this. But he says a possibility, he doesn't accept it. He says that it could be that Rashi is talking about such people that have the koyach to bring Mashiach through their prayers. Then there's another possibility which I'll soon speak about. But before we get to that, it's important, let's take a step back a second. It's important to understand what is the reason why you're not supposed to push Mashiach to come. What's the reason? And I just want to say about Voronish here. Another, huh? There's no reason.
There is no reason. Trust me. Kabbalah soul. There is no reason. Of course Mashiach comes. Good.
It's tachigerecht. But, so, what's the idea of not being doichik as a case? We just discussed this. We just spoke about it.
Never says we like that we scream and we ask God Masa we like it of Yosef
So at any rate, so what is the reason you shouldn't be doichik as a case? The reason for it is basically there's two reasons that are probably interconnected. The reason is the Rebbe said this I think more than once. Is that the words Rabbi mentioned were tzaddikim that wanted to be doichek as a case, but min hashemayim they told them they had the koyach to. Min hashemayim they revealed to them that if they would be doichek as a case, if they would push Mashiach to come before its time, there would be certain sparks that would be lost. I think they say a story. Forget again. Chassidim used to be medayik, not to say a story unless it's 100% exact. I'm not so medayik in that, unfortunately, but just don't quote me on the details. The point of the story was, I think that Matla Chernobyl once said that we could bring Mashiach, but if Mashiach would come now, certain neshamas would be lost. So a certain big Rav was sitting there. Well, who cares about those neshamas? It's about time Mashiach should come. So there'll be certain neshamas that'll be forever lost, but who cares? So Matla Chernobyl turned to him and said, "How do you know that you're not one of those neshamas?"
You are or not?
How do you know that you're not one of those neshamas? So in other words, the point is that if Mashiach would come, if he's forced to come, he would come. It's a way of similar to what we once discussed, and then he saw in the Kalam of Achishan, and Mashiach comes before its time. But if it's not done properly, then in other words, if you didn't do tshuva and so Mashiach could come today, right now. He's supposed to come a long time ago. That's another thing. But I'm saying even years ago, let's say it was before this month. If everyone would get their act together and do tshuva, there's nothing wrong when it says not to push the case. It doesn't say anywhere that Yidden are not allowed to do Torah mitzvahs, not allowed to do tshuva, not allowed to give tzedakah, because tzedakah is makareves as sagol. Tzedakah brings Mashiach. Obviously, that's stupidity. Point is, if the Yidden are not deserving of Mashiach, they're not putting their act together, they're just davening and pushing for it, That, in other words, so then what would happen? Mashiach would come, but Yidden are not fully ready for it, so certain neshamas will get lost. The Rebbe says now that, you know, all the neshamas who already went through all the birurim, we don't have that to worry anymore. Another point, which is brought down, which is l'chayda connected, if you think about it, is that somehow the Tikkunei Zohar says, this Samach Tzedek brings it down, it's brought down in a number of places, that if Mashiach would come before its time, Mashiach would come through terrible Yisurim. It's interesting because, yeah.
Not to Moshiach, to Klal Yisrael.
Yeah, we're talking about Klal Yisrael. Chevle Mashiach is talking about Klal Yisrael. Mashiach also suffers, but that's a separate discussion. So therefore,
We had already the Chevle.
right? So I'm saying, so I'm not discussing. I told it's not negating now for a number of reasons. We're not discussing the Rashi l'chshalatzmi. So. The Tikkunei Zohar said that if you'd rush Mashiach to come, basically it would come through too many pain, too painful. This, the Golos, because of the Arichas HaGolos, the length of Golos, so with, you know, one way of this one sefer explains it is that, so to say, when it comes in its time, so it's already coming, it's already, so to say, programmed within the world, it should happen, so it's not going to come in such a, won't come with all these tzaras. Good. So this is the reason why it shouldn't be Deichik Asaketz. You shouldn't press a Mashiach to come before its time. Now regarding this Rashi, not to dive into it. So first of all, like I said, one of the standard explanations is that it's only talking about if you're davening in a way of using Kabbalistic unifications and meditations and forcing Mashiach to come. Another similar explanation is that those people that are able to, that their prayers could bring Mashiach shouldn't, like Rabbi and the sons. There's another few points here. The other few points is a little bit different. The other answers here is that even if we would accept Rashi's statement at face value, but it's anyway not relevant for a number of reasons. First of all, it's not relevant because the Rebbe says Kolu Kol HaKitzin. At this point in history, you can't say that we shouldn't push off the end of days. Mashiach was supposed to come a long time ago. The Gemara already said Kolu Kol HaKitzin. All the end times are over. So what does it mean to push the case? And there's other Sforim that bring down. In the Minchas Salazar, he had someone write a sefer during World War I called Mashmiya Yeshua. He writes here the importance of davening for Mashiach to come, and thus, and I think he makes the point somewhere else in a similar sefer. He says, when you see that now is the time of Mashiach's coming, see in the world there's different things happening, this whole thing of not to be Deichik Asaketz doesn't apply anymore. Deichik Asaketz means that years ago the world was going the way it was. Why puncture Mashiach come now? Because you want him to come now. Who says it's the time? When you see in the world crazy things are happening, which shows already the time of Mashiach, you're already there. It's a moshel, whatever. It's someone, contemporary Lubavitcher made this up, but it's a good point. You know, a woman that before she's in labor, you don't tell her to push that her baby should come out. When it comes the time to push, she has to push. So when it's before the time, you're not supposed to push it. When the time comes, Adarab, you're supposed to. What? Now is the time. Now you should daven for it. Yeah, now is the time to daven the tshuva. 100%. The other point is that Rebbe says. So that's another answer. So the Rebbe said a few times. The Rebbe spoke about. Before I get to this, the another answer the Rebbe said, the Rebbe spoke about this a few times. The Sikha in Kutei Sichas Chelek Chaf, it's page 384, if I'm not mistaken. The Rebbe speaks about the concept of being besimcha in order to bring Mashiach. So the Rebbe says it's not called pushing Mashiach. What the Rebbe says, he's just talking about, not talking about Kabbalah Mises, not talking, like I mentioned before, forcing Mashiach to come. Says you're talking about adding in Torah mitzvahs mitechsim. The Rebbe says the point also is you anyway daven 3 times a day for Mashiach. So forget about being worried about being Deichik Asaketz. The question here really is when you daven for Mashiach, you really mean it. I think the practical answer for all these people that ask this question, the Rebbe says like this. First of all, the fact that the Gemara has to tell you not to push the end of days is the charaya that you should want Mashiach to such an extent that the Torah has to tell you not to push it. First of all. Second of all, not to talk of the fact of pushing it, that you should mean what you daven. That's first of all. Besides the fact that it's not Negeya today anymore. But the Rebbe, what I think, it seems to me, I'm just saying the different sikhs. Some sikhs, the Rebbe is speaking about davening from Moshiach. I mean, that's what davening is all about. But in certain sikhs, the Rebbe speaks about doing things, but after to bring Moshiach. For example, to make a psak din, there was the Rav from Erlo, he came to the Rebbe and touched him and test. The Rebbe asked him to make a psak, the Moshiach should come. Psak din is a little different. It's not just you're davening from Moshiach. You're trying to push it. So the Rebbe says it's not, this whole shaila of being doichik as a case is not negeya, it's not relevant, because Moshiach had to come a long time ago. Or the Rebbe said, brought a maisa with one of the Polish tzaddikim that as a kid, he told his father didn't want to give him an apple, so he made the bracha B'eri Priyetz and forced his father giving him an apple. So the Rebbe said, if he didn't be b'simcha, Moshiach is coming, will force the Eibishter to bring Moshiach. So they're also, you're not just davening, you're trying to do something to force. So there the Rebbe used other answers as well, that now you could force, the time of the Gula already came, and other things. But just to daven for Mashiach, all contemporary poskim, even the Satmar Rav, I want to get into this right now, it's a whole discussion on its own, but I don't want to get this whole show, the Shavuos here, it's a whole separate thing, but he says like this, he says, there's a whole debate, you take the pro-Zionists, the anti-Zionists, there are those that claim that there's a number of Shavuos, so those that say that the Jewish people cannot go up to Eretz Yisrael all on one and rebel against the nations, but also the Eibusher made the Goyim swear that they shouldn't persecute the Jews too much. So some people want to say, if the Goyim violate their oath, if the Goyim persecute Yidden too much, Yidden have a right to make their own independent kingdom to try to push Mashiach. So Satmar Rav is violently against it. Some people say the Shalosh Shavuos already expired, they're not lahalacha. I was just mentioning, the Rebbe did mention the Shalosh Shavuos. Whatever the Rebbe held that it's mamish lahalacha, not, you could pilpul, but the Rebbe clearly didn't push away the Shalosh Shavuos, but I don't want to get into this whole thing. But the Satmar Rav himself says when it comes to this Rashi, not to increase and feel it too much, for that he will agree that this is dependent on the other oath, that the Goyim shouldn't persecute too much. He says, for this is clear that if the Goyim persecuted too much, he says, even if you'll accept at face value, that there was Taka Shua, the Eibusher made that the Goyim, that you're not allowed to daven too hard for Mashiach. But he says, no one brings it down. Okay, whatever he has, it's not really a time according to him, but he says, the bottom line is, he says, you see, in all the tefillahs we were davening about Mashiach, he says, it's true, the Eibusher made the shul, but once the Goyim violated their shul, they're persecuting didn't too much. So of course we have to daven from Mashiach. What we're supposed to, the Goyim, if the Eibusher wanted the plates, the Golos should be able to handle. If you can't handle the Golos, of course we should cry out. It brings some Dagoda of the Marashak, of Shlomo Kluk, it says a similar word. So he says for this thing, even though it doesn't accept it for the other thing, but for this Rashi, in other words, even if you'll accept that this is what it means, but it's not Negei Halacha anyway. Stop. Anyway. But again, like I told, when people ask this question, they after first of all, again, halachically this is not accepted. This Rashi. Also, we forget the fact that it's not negay b'zman as Mashiach was supposed to come. People don't understand a very basic point. The question is, someone is asking this question, you're pushing the case, is because he doesn't care about Mashiach in the first place. I tell him, I don't need you to daven to Moshe Mashiach. I want one thing. When you daven what you are supposed to daven, you should really mean it. And then you'll ask yourself a question, what did I do to bring Mashiach? That's all. Anyway, fine. Mashiach now.